Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an Outlaw Trails stories. I'm calling this The Double Cross. And this is more of a Lynn had a bad day kind of thing. I got a bad week. I was not in a good mood when I started playing that. Sometimes that translates into the game, and the other players paid for it, unfortunately. And this was all on me. It's not their fault. This was all on me. Before I get into this, if you enjoy my content, it would really help me out if you would hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content on social media, and post a comment or two. Remember, I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. If you enjoy a good book, check out my author page on Amazon. My pen name is H.L. Anderson. You can find all of my books there. I like to think I write good stories that make you think. I wrote a 3-book science fiction Western series called Drifters. I wrote a fun story about a house in New Orleans where the monsters all hang out. It's called The House Off Farrago Road. I wrote a 2-book, I'm working on the 3rd one now, but there's 2 books. There's futuristic science fiction, space warfare kind of thing, study of humanity from an alien perspective. The first one is Vanguard 1. The second one is Task Force Terminus. And I wrote a political fantasy called The Righteous President. Hope you get them. Hope you like them. Now, the double cross. One of the fun things about tabletop role-playing games is that you can play a character that is morally diametrically opposed to yourself in real life. Your player character can kill, steal, and settle disputes with violence along with any number of other abhorrent acts, and it's all make-believe. Nobody really gets hurt. It's my friend Nico says it's theater of the mind, and I like that. I'm using that. But nobody gets hurt, and it's all in fun. And, if you die, you make up a new character. It's fantasy. Years ago, my friend Mark was running a game of Outlaw Trails. There were 4 of us playing, myself, Kevin, Earl, and Bobby. Our group had decided to become outlaws, and we were pretty successful. We had done a number of things. Our latest caper had been a raid on a ranch house owned by a wealthy rancher. He'd fought back along with his son and daughter-in-law. We'd killed the men and taken the woman for ransom along with $20,000 in cash. I had a bad week at work. My boss was being an asshole. Everybody can relate to that. I'd lost out on a promotion to the boss's kid. Yes, as cliche as it sounds, this actually did happen. This has been more than 30 years ago, so, At any rate, I was nursing a serious case of red ass, if you know what that means. And I was looking to really stick it to somebody. I was pissed. Our group had holed up in a cave overlooking an old stagecoach station. They wanted me to go and make contact with the sheriff to ask for $50,000 in ransom. I knew the town was pretty broke, and $50,000 was just too much to ask. They couldn't afford that. So I found an old prospector, and I paid him $5 to take a note into town. Now, $5 in the Old West was a lot of money. That was like, a week's pay or something for a lot of people. The note that I sent in only asked for $10,000 in ransom because I figured they could afford that. And I knew that the rest of the group would have been pissed, but the rest of the group they were asking something the town just couldn't do. There wasn't $50,000 in the town. So, it was a pretty poor town. Several trips by the prospector back and forth, and the drop was set in an old abandoned mine shaft. It was a few miles from the station where we were. I didn't tell the guys who were, they were having all kinds of fun with that woman, and I'm not going to go into detail because I want this family friendly. The point is, they were just telling us, yeah, you go do it, you do it. They were treating me like a servant, and it rubbed me the wrong way. That case of red ass just kept getting redder and redder. On the designated day of the drop, I made sure the sheriff wasn't pulling anything. I watched him from, along the trail as he was coming. He came alone. I took the money, left a note detailing where they could find the woman, and I warned them that there were 3 dangerous men who refused to part with her. They were double-crossing. I told them the note actually said they were double-crossing me. I headed southeast into Texas with the ransom, leaving them to my party, my group, my friends, to their fate. Yeah, I double-crossed them. It's one of those things where you're having a bad day. And this is all on me. I admit it. The sheriff showed up at the cave with 30 men. Bobby, Earl, and Kevin fought well. As I recall, they killed 8 of the posse and wounded a dozen more before their ammo ran low. There was no back way out of the cave, and they were not about to escape. The posse had great incentive to stay in the fight. As it turns out, the woman was the governor's daughter, and he had offered a $10,000 reward for each of the outlaws and another $30,000 for the safe return of his daughter. I had no idea about any of that. I just thought it was a girl from town. I didn't know it was the governor's daughter. The $10,000 seemed fair to me. I took it and ran. Kevin, Earl, and Bobby all faced the gallows while I bought a ranch in Texas. They were not happy, but it was all in game, so we made up new characters for the next week. Or at least they did. As I recall, they ended up coming to work for me, and everything was okay because those new characters ended up getting rich too. So, because from the ranch, we were doing a crime spree, and we had a place to stay, and blah 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 blah. And plus, the ranch was successful, and it looked like we were doing well, so nobody could prove that we were stealing the money. We didn't leave any witnesses, as it were. At any rate, the one little double cross was easily forgiven, so worked out well. At any rate, yeah, if you're going into a game and one of the guys is having a bad week, watch out for him. That's all I'm saying. Watch out for him, because you're going to end up getting the short end of the stick. He may not mean to. He may just be having a bad week. He may be a good guy and all, but just be careful, because you could end up getting the short end of the stick. That's all I'm saying. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all. Clarissa Lowe, a historian from the future. Delmore Kane, a Civil War veteran turned outlaw. This oddball pairing faces a conspiracy of epic proportions spanning the centuries. If you like action and adventure westerns with a splash of science fiction and fantasy, check out my book series Drifters and their ongoing adventures.